Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 457 of DrunkNerdsPodcast. As always, I'm Tyler. And join me with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Dude, Extra Life is coming pretty damn soon. I'm excited. The work week is finally done and over with. I got a couple days off, and on top of that, man, it's like I'm happy basketball season's in full bloom because
Mm,
very happy with the way the Golden State Warriors have
oh,
started out. I love the way they
Steph's already in
trashed the
mid-season form.
Lakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steph's already in like almost like post. He's almost in like mid-season form in the first two games of the season, which is so hilarious, dude. What kind of gets me, man, is like with that win against the Lakers and stuff like that, that after game interview that he had and stuff like that, where he got a triple double and he
Mm.
tells the interviewer, it's like, man, I played like trash today. I'm like, what?
And then the next game he drops 45. Yeah.
Yeah, he fucking drops 45, man. It's like that only Stephon Curry could say that getting a triple double is like he felt like he played like trash.
Yeah.
But man, yeah. Yeah, man, just watching the Lakers get trashed like that, man. That was fun.
Yeah.
And but other than that, man, it's like I feel pretty damn good. I yeah, honestly, I feel like that. I kind of honestly feel like I'm gonna probably finish a few games before too long.
Nice.
But
Nice.
at the same time, man, it's like it's the same old type of thing where I'm just trying a little bit of games here and there and stuff. I have been playing like maybe two games total, but we can get into that a little bit later though. But how have you been doing, Tyler?
I'm hanging in there, buddy. I am that motivational poster you see of the
Mm.
cat hanging from the tree branch, and it just says hanging in there above it. That's me right now. Uh, just work's getting hectic, getting crazy. So yeah, feel like I'm crawling right now, but doing okay. Otherwise, just had a nice little gathering with some friends. Hadn't seen a lot of them since before COVID, so that was nice to hang out and get together, have a couple drinks, and just shoot shit and catch up with everybody, see how they're doing. So yeah, but I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm with you though. Like I just, I look forward to Extra Life coming up in 2 weeks now. It's crazy to think that it's so close. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. A, because it's Extra Life, and then B, it's I got a 4 day weekend, and oh boy, even though those first 2 days will be lost to Extra Life, which I mean, it's still gonna be fun, still be a good time, but the recovery prospect will take a couple days. But
Yep.
it's gonna be nice to just be able to relax, get the mind and body right, and then at least have a short week coming out of it. So yeah, I'm pumped. I just unlike Gables here, just haven't had a lot of free time this week to really play, really do much of anything. So I did play a little bit of a game today, but kind of just waiting. It's funny though, like I've been really good about not having a backlog for a long time now, a good chunk of this year, and I've like crept up now to like now I have like 5 or 6 games on my backlog. So
Mm.
it's too bad there's not like some big long gaming event coming up for help me catch up on it anytime soon. Um, but yeah, other than that, though, I'm doing all right. I'm just came back. Had a few beers, so I'm just drinking some water right now. Some good old H2O. Gotta
Yep.
you know hydrate myself here. I've had my two Trentas of Starbucks today. Not back to back. I had one in the morning and then I had one
I'm
this evening. So I broke it up over like 10 hours. So
pretty sure you'd be jogging a marathon if you drank two Trences in a row.
mm, right. I could just probably just take a nap. Um, but yeah, other than that, I'm doing okay. But that is not why we're here. And oh, speaking of Extra Life, I almost forgot. In case you're wondering what we're talking about, if this is your first time joining us, well, thank you first off. Like, follow, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. But if you've been here for a while, you already know what's about to happen. But it's important to us, so we're going to talk about it. So, Extra Life is coming up November 6th. If you don't know what it is a 24-hour game marathon that Gables and I do every year. This will be my 10th. This will be Gables' ninth. I believe this will be the 12th overall of Extra Life. What we do is we play games for 24 straight hours. It's typically the first Saturday of November, but you don't have to do it on that day. But you don't have to do it 24 straight hours. But that's game day. That's kind of the overall premise of it. And we raise money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. All the money that we raise, people donate to us. All the money we raise goes straight to the hospitals, 100% of it. The cool thing is about it is when you sign up, if you want to sign up, go to extra-life.org. You could pick any hospital you want to in the United States or Canada. So and then just share with your friends, family, coworkers, whatever. If you possibly can, like some works will actually like match donations sometimes. So that could be a cool thing. You can talk to your work and then they can do a thing and donate to them so they get a tax write off and we raise more money for these sick kids out there. We gotta help those big beautiful kids out there. So especially right now, the last couple of years, they can use it more now than ever. So if
No
you want to
doubt.
do that, um, go there, check it out. If you want to donate to us, that's awesome too. I'm Tyler Courtney on there. We have Gables, Gabe Bagno. If you don't want to bag,
Hmm.
just say no.
Yep.
Still my all-time favorite thing you ever said. Um, but yeah, check that out. We really appreciate it. Like I don't even care if you donate to us or not. It's just like just spreading the word. If you sign up or you tell somebody, they sign up and they tell other people and they sign up, and 15 more people signed up and are raising money, even better. But yeah, it's a great thing. I think good chance. I don't. They're gonna break. They probably already have the 100 million total raise mark probably this year. I think they're in like the 90s right now. So I think
Wow.
yeah, every year they break the record. I think last year they hit like 13 million, which is incredible, breaking that record, but also in a COVID year when everybody was struggling. So yeah, check it out, please. It's a cool thing. 2 weeks, November 6th. Like I said, you don't have to do it on November 6th. You don't have to do it for 24 hours. So people break it up. They do 4 hour chunks every day or across the month or do 12-hour chunks, whatever you want to do, whatever you can do. We appreciate it. Yeah, it's a cool thing. Please check it out. But Gables, we're
Hmm.
here talking about video games. And there's actually quietly been a pretty crazy amount of news this week. Um,
Absolutely.
I felt like it's the last few weeks. It's felt like, oh man, we should talk about. And then it feels like Wednesday, Thursday rolls around, and just blah, bunch of shit happens. So I want to start for this one. I don't know if this is a big story. I don't know if like this is a big deal. To do a pardon the interruption PTI take for as it celebrates its 20th anniversary yesterday, one of my all-time favorite TV
Wow.
shows on ESPN. Um, big deal, no deal, little or big deal, no deal, little deal, kind of thing here. Splinter Cell allegedly is in production. Ubisoft is obviously the owner of the IP. Splinter Cell has been kind of like a dormant franchise for I think the last game to come out was like 2013. I guess it was a pretty good game. It just didn't. It was like a just kind of came and went. I think Michael Ironstein wasn't like the character. He wasn't the main character in this one. Um, but allegedly it's back in production. It's fairly early on, but there's a chance we might see it next year. And I guess there was like a this is like Video Game Chronicles came with the original report, and then GamesBeat had a different report going on about how they kind of so they actually mentioned it earlier this year that there was like a I can't think of the word, but like a alpha of early development alpha of like testing out like a Hitman style Ubisoft like a Ubisoft if Ubisoft made a Hitman game kind
Hmm.
of thing that was super early development. They're just testing it out, um, and that was like a thing I was talking about earlier in the year, but there was nothing tied to it. And now some people are wondering if maybe that is a Splinter Cell game or that got turned into a Splinter Cell game because it's been a long dormant franchise and it's just people have been pushing for it for a long time. I felt like we had a lot of them in the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era, and then
No, you're not wrong. Yeah.
it kind of slowly faded in the early 360 PS3 era, and then I think we had one at the end of that generation, and then
Yes.
it skipped the entire last generation. I don't know. Gabe was like I was like that dumb shitty fanboy where like it felt like you were either Team Metal Gear or Team Splinter Cell, so I just never played Splinter Cell. I think I rented it one time on GameCube, but like it was like that hate rent where I had to like play it so I can say I didn't like it kind of thing. So it went with the wrong, but I was like I was a douchey teenager. So I don't know. It was like what's your overall feelings and thoughts about possibly Splinter Cell making a comeback?
Okay, so for Splinter Cell, for this, I would actually say this is kind of like a little deal. Like, not like a lot of I don't really have too much like added confidence inside of this thing right at this moment in time. I mean, for one, it's a good thing that we're hearing rumors of potential like development for a new Splinter Cell game. I mean, hell, this is a franchise. set of fans inside of this game series and stuff that have been waiting diligently for years for another entry of the series in order to like unleash. The last major one I can remember is a Splinter Cell Conviction back around 2012, which was a 360 and PC game only,
Oh, okay.
and that was a deviation from the initial like formula that they were going beforehand. Because with the Splinter Cell series from this on, for the GameCube, Xbox, and PS2 generation, there was a trilogy of games that came out, I believe, on each system. With the original, with Pandora Tomorrow, with like Chaos Theory and stuff. From my initial experience with the franchise, I tried playing the original Splinter Cell. It's definitely one of those retro like type of stealth-based games and stuff to where you can be equally punished if you do a lot of stupid mistakes early on, which Teenage Gables made a lot of stupid mistakes early on and got himself completely annihilated and disinterested fairly quick. But the biggest caveat, I think that one of the biggest fun things that I had while renting that game from my local video rental store back in the day is I literally had the little adapter that you plugged into the GameCube,
Oh
and
yeah, the
for
Game Boy one.
the yeah, I actually
Oh my
have
god, he still has it. Jesus
I
Christ.
still have it inside my little drawer right here. So
I have one
for
too.
our audio listeners and stuff, I'm holding up like this Nintendo GameCube cable, which could connect into the back of like a Game Boy Advance or like a Game Boy Advance SP, plug it into your GameCube port and stuff, and it would allow you to have access to a certain content inside of specific games. One of them included the original Splinter Cell, and basically what it did is it acted as a second screen for you to see the map actually on the TV, like on your Game Boy Advance, which
Or you
at
or you
that
could
time,
or you could throw bombs as Tingle.
oh yeah, that's true. That was another
The Wind
feature.
Waker.
Or if you really want to get really obscure, you could actually use it for like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles as well.
Remember that?
And
Yeah.
yes, but going back then and then transferring to now, where it's like Splinter Cell Conviction was like the last major game in that series. There has been like mobile games came out since then that people have been really disinterested in. But honestly, I really want the fans of the Splinter Cell series to get another game in like the franchise that's actually fun to play without it being like heavily like Ubisoft eyes. That's just
Ubisoft. It's
filled.
been
It's
yeah. It's
pretty much like that Ubisoft formula to where they have this distinct type of setup, like open world, this and that. It's just the same old shit, only different skin and you know, different type of like environment that they gotta go through and explore.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I'm with you. It's definitely one of those things where like people have been pushing for a long time to have Splinter Cell come back, but it's like you always hear people talk about it's like yeah, I get why you want it, but it's like do you want this era of Ubisoft to make it because it would be a completely different game. But I mean we still see Ubisoft do some weird stuff with their games. Like I mean we get the Mario plus Rabbids games, we get
yeah,
uh we're getting the Riders Republic, we get the snowboarding the winter one. Like they still do oddball shit every now and again, but like yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go. But I also like maybe like I guess what if it's just a remake? Because we hear about like like Capcom obviously is like with Resident Evil brought back Resident Evil with 7 and 8, but also with 2 and 3 remakes. But like and you
absolutely,
look at
yeah,
EA is like oh shit like EA brought back Dead Space because of that. Now we see like remakes Square Enix with fucking Final Fantasy 7 shit like that. Like I mean, these great games that if you modernize them, and obviously you can't just make one to one remakes. You got like they're doing really great jobs with these remakes, but yeah, like if you just remade the original Splinter Cell, like I'm sure that would do great and make it a lot easier for new fans again. But I thought Fanbyte, it's a video game website, had the perfect headline where they said, famous guest character finally gets his own game. Talking about Splinter Cell, which I thought was fucking
Sam Fisher.
hilarious. Yeah, Sam Fisher. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious because yeah, I was like, I'm sure there's probably a lot of gamers out there because I mean it's crazy to think that like it's like it's funny when I've talked to people that are like early 20s or 8 to 10 years younger than us, and
Yep,
it's like I remember like talking to somebody about when Mass Effect remaster the collection got announced. I was talking to a couple people about it. I was like, that game's old, or like I was like 11 when that game came out. It's like imagine like there's multiple generations essentially of consoles. So that means therefore kids that were literally children or babies when these games came out and like were in
Yep.
its heyday, and then like yeah they had that last little come out at the end of the 360 generation, and it's like I'm sure they that no one really bought that. And a very small pocket of Splinter Cell fans bought that game.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know. I mean, I'm excited. It's one of those things where I'm excited for them, and I'm totally pumped for it. Like I would love to have an, it's like since Metal Gear. It's funny, like Metal Gear has to die for Splinter Cell to come back, I guess. But like there's a big void now in that world, and it's like because that was the big argument back in the day between Metal Gear and Splinter Cell. Like that was like Splinter Cell was essentially made as a because Metal Gear was so popular, Ubisoft made Splinter Cell. So yeah, I don't know. I'm pumped for it. I would be excited for it, and with Sam Fisher, and I think it'd be awesome if they did a remake or just kind of rebooted it and a Hitman style like that could totally work. And like I think if the because the problem is like yeah, you talk about like it being Ubisoft. It's like Ubisoft games is so weird. It's kind of like in a way with like my complaint about Nintendo games where like they technically make really great games. They just there's like oh they're always like the games are technically very fun to play, really easy to pick up, a lot of fun. There's just like not a lot of content to make you come back. And the problem is like Ubisoft is kind of the like not in the I shouldn't say the opposite, but like their biggest problem is like there's some fun stuff in there, but it's so buried in all of the content that it's like it's so hard to like get to. It's like Nintendo, like I said, Nintendo's the opposite, where it's like I'm having so much fun, I just wish there was more for me to do in it. And this is like
Right.
I'm having some fun, but there's just too much shit to do in this. It's like yeah. So I hope it works out because I think it'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Um,
Absolutely. And I do share the same sentiments and stuff. If there is a new Splinter Cell game, it better not have like a lot of unnecessary crap in terms of like say extra side missions that nobody gives a shit about, or just
yeah,
so much excessive of like
the
a
fluff.
specific like about a fluff and stuff that's going to deter people from wanting to play the game itself, because
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the major problems of like certain Ubisoft franchises like Assassin's Creed that are touted to be like these main sellers in the gaming industry, but at the same time these are games that are conveniently structured to where it's like they want you to play it for like the entire year or
Yeah,
even more with that
two
because of how
years. Yeah.
much content. And literally, if you want to try to complete these games, they'll take you at least over 100 some odd hours, which a lot of people do not have the patience to do that.
Yeah, yeah, or the time it take them months. So yeah, I don't know. Wait and see. They say it sounds like there's a chance we might see it next year. So maybe next E3 we're gonna know
Well,
more about it.
well, here's
Probably like
hoping.
yeah, so maybe like a teaser trailer next year or something. But Gable's moving on to our next topic here. So we don't do this too often, but we're gonna talk about a movie.
Yeah,
Uh, we both seen the trailer for Uncharted the movie.
yeah,
Um, Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, Mark Wahlberg as Sully, and it's still funny to me that like this movie's had multiple script writers, directors, actors. Like this has been going on for so long that
yeah.
Mark Wahlberg was young enough he was gonna play Nathan Drake. Now he's old enough that he's playing Sully. Um, so
It's
here
so
we are.
true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Gables. I know you're not the biggest movie guy. I am. I watch the movies that I'm. I don't just watch movies for movie's sake. I like to watch the movies I'm interested in. But what was your thoughts on this trailer?
Okay, so the overall thoughts of the trailer is like I can understand like the tone and feel they were trying to get with this stuff. It's like Nathan is trying to search for his older brother and stuff like that in this
Sam.
entire movie, Sam. Yeah, thank you. I almost
Mm-hmm.
almost freaking space his name, but at the same point, the overall tone of the feeling kind of had me like kind of curious about the overall quality of the story because from initial onset, I don't feel like they're trying to. I really don't feel like they're trying to follow like say like a gaming like one of the games like plots in that regards, and especially since they're trying to make it sort of a hybrid of like say like Uncharted 3 meeting like the original Uncharted sort of vibe with that type of thing, if that makes sense, where it feels like there are some aspects of it to where it's like a young Nathan Drake, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like Nathan Drake in the actual games, it's themselves and stuff. He's a bit older in that
Like
regards, like maybe
30s.
in his
He's been doing
30s.
this. he's been doing this like late 30s, early 40s. Like he's been doing this shit for a long time.
Yeah, and whereas like Tom Holland, coming into this,
He's
it's like
he-
he's like what in his 20s or
he's
like inside of his like
25,
he's
but in the
25.
movie I think he's like early 20s, late teens.
Yeah, you know what? When you have something like that, I was kind of curious in regards to what the story would have had to initially came to. It wasn't until the end of the trailer where it's like, oh, okay, we got to find my older brother Sam, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. And on top of that, I think there's one scene where he's working as a bartender, and it's like
Yeah.
there's like the thing with Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg, kind of feels like out of place in this to where it honestly, yeah, it initially feels like he was supposed to be the original like Nathan Drake.
Well, that was like he was cast in like one of the
Yes.
original scripts. He was actually cast like 2008
Right.
to play Nathan Drake, but it's been in fucking production hell for so long that now
Yep.
he's in his 50s and now he's playing Sully. So when he was originally cast, he was in his mid 30s and it made more sense. So yeah,
But yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing like where they're going to go in terms of the initial movie itself because from the initial story that I have seen on top of like the main antagonist stuff that's portrayed inside there, I don't have a lot of good feelings towards this being a good movie. What
yeah,
did your thoughts, Tyler?
it's tough because it's one of those things where like you talk to people like when they turn a book into a movie. And it's
Yeah.
like you always hear like, oh, the book's so much better. And it's like, yeah, like you can understand it because like books, are hundreds of pages, and like they gotta like adapt all hundreds of pages into a couple hours.
And on top
Um,
of that, people have different visions of what the had
yeah,
interpreted from like reading in the like reading the
yeah,
books and how they interpret it in their head. And then when they see something on the TV screen or somewhere in the movie theaters and looks completely different than what they imagine, of course they're gonna have critiques.
yeah.
You know?
And like I feel like my opinion would be a lot different if Uncharted 4 wasn't a thing
Yep.
because like I understand Uncharted 1 through 3 and all and it's just it's a fun dumb set piece. Like we love the characters, but the stories are never really they're not
Yeah.
awesome. But like we love the characters because like the interactions, Nathan and Sully's relationship, Chloe, not Ellie, what's the
Elena.
Elena? Thank you. I think wrong Naughty Dog game. Um, but
Think Edmonds.
yeah. um, but yeah, I just it's as a movie if it wasn't called Uncharted, I'd be excited for this because I really like Tom Holland
Yeah.
and I enjoy Mark Wahlberg being Mark Wahlberg, unless it's Transformers. Um, but yeah, when I watch this and I'm looking at this in the lens of Uncharted, it's like I don't know, it's so weird. It's kind of like the Chris Pratt thing with Mario. It's just like I don't know how to feel because it's like because it's like they're not you didn't hire these guys to play Nathan Drake and Sully. You hired Tom Holland to play American Tom Holland,
Yep.
and you hired Mark Wahlberg to be Mark Wahlberg. Like, which I totally get it. Like, they're big names. They're very good at what they do. I think the movie will be entertaining. I think I'm not. I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, one of the all-time best movies or anything like that. But I think it could be a fun action buddy comedy flick. You know.
Right.
But I don't. I'm not. I think if I can just, I gotta just like find that way to like warp my head that way to like think of it like that. Because really, like this movie, it's so weird because like it's not taking. They're not just doing Uncharted 1 or anything like that. They're basically like taking moments from each movie. Like they have. It's basically the greatest hits of Uncharted 1 through 4. Like
Oh.
like they're like we didn't. Sam wasn't a thing until 4. The
Yep.
the the falling out of the airplane in 3. There's a boat from 2. A couple other things from 1. Like there's so many things they tie into, and it's so weird. Like it's like an origin story, but it's like also like they're doing a lot of shit that happened like 20 years into the relationship, and it's like Sully is a guy in his 60s, but Mark Wahlberg is a 50-year-old man that looks like he's in his 30s. Mark Wahlberg very obviously is dyeing his hair black.
Yep.
Um, it's like there's not even a mustache, and it's like, it's like what's great about Nathan. And he's like, we love him, but he's still also not a good guy. He's like not a like he's not like he's a evil person. He's just like very selfish and kind of full of himself, egotistical, but he's like charming and goofy and got really good quips and stuff like that. And like Sully just plays off of him so well, of like kind of like an older grizzled version of him as well. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's just like, and like when I was talking about like like 1 through 3, like I would be totally more on board with this movie, but it's like 4 like really is the heart and soul, and really gave that franchise a heart and a soul. Where it's like like the storytelling got so much better. They added so much more details to it. And it's like fuck, yeah, like all it made me want to do was just play 4 again. But it's like they're the PS5 version is coming out next year, early next year. I'm assuming the movie's coming out in February, so I'm assuming they're going to try to tie in the PC and PS5 versions of these games for around that time. That's PlayStation. They're making a Twisted Metal game that's going to tie into the movie to the TV show. So I assume that's kind of the idea. But I don't know. It's just like I said, I think this movie's gonna be really good, or will be good at least. Like 7 out of 10, fun action movie. Turn your brain off, have a good time. Which but like if you're going with the lens of like looking at this was like, man, like I don't like this as because it's just Tom Holland playing doing he's Peter Parker basically, shy kind of awkward guy, and you've got Mark Wahlberg playing Marky Mark, and I think you'll enjoy that. I think it's gonna be a good time. Um, it's not like Resident Evil, the new Resident Evil movie that's coming out later this year, where it's like that movie just looks objectively bad.
Yep.
Like that looks like low budget, like this like Netflix gave them a $10 million to make a movie. It's like here you go, you know, don't put a lot of you got to blow 9 of it on the set, and then you got another million to hire the actors and do the CG um, kind of shit. Like where this has got a big budget, I don't know. I just it's tough. It's hard. Like I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, but like Uncharted is one of my even before 4 and Lost Legacy was in my top 10 all time favorite franchises, um, and 4 and Lost Legacy just bumped up a few more spots. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna like I don't know. Ever like when the actors got announced, like it totally changed my mindset of what this movie could be, and it's just like seeing that trailer is totally changing it, and but it's also making it a little easier to like kind of find a way to work your mind around it. But moving on, Gables, to some other news here. I saw you put this in here. I'm kind of curious what your opinion is all like. So there was this big TikTok video that happened. Uh, what a couple days ago, and someone like posted like them at like a Walmart distribution site with
Yeah.
racks full of pallets of PS5s, and it turned this whole thing about like like the person said like if you can't find a PS5, this is why, and it turned a
Yeah.
whole like thing, and and a bunch of websites are asking the question if Walmart's hoarding PS5s. So I don't know. I'm just kind of I've been reading a lot about it. I'm kind of like looking to a little bit. I'm just kind of curious, like, what was your thoughts when you see all this?
Honestly, when I'm seeing a lot of this stuff, the first thought that comes to mind is like potential holiday season, like Black Friday and type of things, like a Christmas holiday type of things and stuff, to where it feels like to me that a lot of brick and mortar retailers may have been going through and like stockpiling some bit of these consoles to try to sell like in a big old mass sort of way without like scalpers getting involved with a lot of this stuff. But reading into this like various thing off of like the TikTok and stuff, because that's part of the reason how I came across this is where it's like come across a random like PlayStation thing while going through searching for news, and it's like you have the suspected video and stuff, and literally a couple of pallets worth of PS5s like stacked on top of each other, like quite honestly, like a couple of Walmart workers like visibly going through and just talking, okay, this is why this you're not getting a lot of these PS5s and stuff. I mean, literally, like what when you get reports of like over 2,000 PS5s
Yeah,
going through and a distribution center and stuff like that, just waiting and being stocked right that, I mean, yeah, that's fairly noticeable, especially if like a lot of your workers are kind of looking at it's like, well, why the hell are these things not going on the sales like floors? Why are they not being distributed like here and there, you know? But yet, when I thought about it, like the other thing that popped up to my head is like, well, maybe these are just a lot of like things and supplies just in case like someone tries to go through and order them online, or it could be some of that sort. But to be perfectly frank with you, I mean, I look back at the time that I did work at a Walmart and stuff to where a lot of the times they get their holiday stuff at least as far back as say like September, to where they've
Mm.
already got their Black Friday like supplies and already got their things like just clearly like labeled and stuff like that, and just have it separated and stuff until like around October where they start going through and get all the initial plans going through. Not sure how to do it this time around, but it would not surprise me at all if this was something that big name companies like Walmart are doing, because if they want to try to maximize the profits of say like a Black Friday sale, or like instrumentally like introducing these consoles in store like throughout the entirety up until Christmas or until the end of the year and stuff. Yeah, I that definitely would make sense business wise for them. But on the same time, it's like, I mean, the people online too. I mean, hell, the whole advertisements and store in regards to Walmart saying that, especially with my local Walmart, where it's like you can't get some of these consoles in store, you have to do it online only, and blah blah blah. But I kind of feel like there is some validity with it, Tyler. What would you think?
I my problem is there's so many what ifs to this.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, there's a lot of pallets there. We're talking a couple thousand PS5s, but like, it's Walmart,
Yep.
and it's like they're the biggest store in the country. Outside of brick and mortar store, because if you want to include Amazon and shit in there, and a couple thousand to Walmart, not a lot. Like, I'm not, like, do you really want to
No.
put those up on 2,000 PS5s on a website? Because they're gonna sell. They're gonna sell immediately.
Yeah.
They're gonna sell immediately if you had 10,000, but is it even worth putting it up for 2,000? Also, like, I have so many, like, is this a hub that like the shit goes to
Right. That was
before
never
you
explained.
go to the other stores? Like, cause I mean, like, I've worked in distribution centers where, like, with that same exact racking, like, we would, like, and like one of our customers, like, one I worked at, were like, we one of our customers was Mars Candy, so like M&Ms, Skittles, shit like that. So
Right.
like we would have pallets of candy sitting up there, and some, like, literally sometimes we put them up there and they sit for a couple days before they're ready to go out, or sometimes,
Right.
like, like you were saying, sometimes you get that shit in September. Yeah, like, we would put together, like, the pallets of, like, Valentine's Day candies to go ship them out in December, or like, in August we're getting shit ready for getting the pallets ready for Halloween. Like,
Right.
also it's like, yeah, like I said, like, like, maybe they're gonna go online. Maybe, like, what's the point of shipping them out if, like, we're just gonna leave them here until we sell them and then we'll ship them where they need to go from there. Also, there's a thing called a working shortage right now, which is a huge issue where things are sitting for days longer
Yep.
because we don't have drivers to deliver them someplace. Um, Whether it's the 50-foot trailers, uh, FedEx, UPS, Amazon, Speedies, you name it, there's a shortage. Everywhere has a shortage. Um, I mean, fucking forklift drivers. Maybe the shit's going up there because they can't get the shit down fast enough. I don't know. There's so many. That's my problem. Is like, they literally could have just put those up in the racks, and this guy's like, I'm gonna put this video up. And I
Yep.
understand, like, it's frustrating because it's like, yeah, like, it's the most wanted thing in entertainment over the last year.
Yep.
Um, and a lot of people are frustrated that have been actively trying to get one since they went up pre-order, like, last September, so
No
13,
shit.
14 months. Like, I get it. It's easy when you see it. It's easy to get frustrated, but it's like, I don't know. Like, if they're hoarding it, it's like, or hoarding it, unless I find out, like, the CEO and, like, all the big wigs in the company are taking those and selling them on Facebook Marketplace for a for for 800, $900 a piece. I don't, like, what are we actually mad about? Because they're not just hoarding them and they're gonna sit there for years. They're gonna sell them eventually. Like,
Yep.
they're not making any, like, Walmart is losing money by them sitting. The longer they sit there, that's less money that they're making that they can charge somebody else to take those spots. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like it's like fake anger. Like I understand, like what, like you're angry, but then it's like once, like just think about it for 5 seconds. Like yeah, and like I wouldn't be shocked, like because if Black Friday came around, they had 2,000 to sell. Like that's like people would be more pissed off. And people are gonna be pissed off in general, but less people will if they like build up stock for a few weeks. Boom, here we go. Give people a heads up. Hey, Friday, 7 o'clock, we're gonna have this. We're gonna stagger them out. Like, and I like, I don't know. Like, people have been talking about like, you guys gotta do something about these, the scalpers and shit like that. So then like PlayStation's been doing the PlayStation Direct thing when they're
Yep.
sending people that have put like on that are like people like they did the same thing last year before they came out where you can pre-order one and like if you're like people would like be basically a drawing, for PlayStation PS4 users get a chance to use it, and they have a thing where you can sign up to be in essentially a raffle to then
Yep.
have a chance to buy one. People mad about that. I'm like, well, you want them to do something with the scalper because that's just fucking Wild West. It's open season for them. So then they do this raffle system, which kind of makes it a fair ground for everybody, scalpers or no. Whether it's you, me wanting to buy one or a scalper wanting to buy one, we all on equal footing. You don't like that either, so it's like, well, we shouldn't have to sign up to be a drawing. We should be able to buy one. Motherfucker, they can't make them, and then you get mad. They're getting mad because they can't make them. They're doing the best they fucking can. Everybody's doing the best they fucking can. Everything's short right now. Everything's short. There's factories shut down because they literally can't make shit right now because they can't make
Hmm.
shit so they can sell the shit. I'm going on a rant right now. I don't even know why I'm ranting. I did have a Trenta coffee like 3 hours ago, so that might be why. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I just when I see this and I see people like the fucking bullshit. I don't know. Maybe it's not bullshit, but it's like I heard the same thing about GameStop. Just got a huge shipment of PS5s in this week, so who knows? Maybe, and it could just be PlayStation say, hey, hold on to these because we want to have a big blowout around Black Friday and Thanksgiving. I mean, we just did like, we just went through the same thing with Nintendo and Xbox during E3, where the Monday after Xbox's event, they advertised like multiple stores were advertising like, hey, we're gonna have a ton of Series S and X's
Yep.
um, on Monday morning, and then Nintendo did the same thing the day after the Nintendo event. So they had theirs on Tuesday. On Wednesday, GameStops and multiple other stores were like doing these like big like, come here, you pre-order the Switch OLED or you pre-order a Skyward Sword, you get this map or you get this collectible or you give you like so much money or whatever. Like they had all these deals going on for Nintendo stuff. And after it's like these are perfect. These are like things they do. These are beats they do. PR things they do to build up anticipation, bring people to the store, like the bring up build up good vibes. More people want to buy these things. Like I don't know. I don't like I said. What is the benefit of them hoarding them like at all? Unless like I said, the big wigs there are literally stealing them, selling them on the marketplace and eBay, and then putting the 500 back and then pocketing. Like they're not doing that. No one's doing that.
No.
Like the longer they sit there, the more money Walmart's losing. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's just PlayStation shipping this shit, getting it there for them, and saying hold, sell some, hold most, and then I guarantee you Nintendo and Xbox are doing the exact same thing. Like
Probably.
this is what it's a strategic thing for sales. This is what it is. They want you to go there to the stores to buy these things so you can buy more of the things they want. So, and I'm sure if the PlayStation found out, they'd be pissed off because if anybody cares about scalpers, it's obvious it's PlayStation because scalpers buying PlayStations does not make them any money because every time they sell a PlayStation, they lose money because it's cost them more than $500 to make one. The only way they make money on people buying a PS5 is by buying games for PS5s, and they can't buy games for PS5s if the scalpers are hoarding all the PlayStation. So, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't mean to go on a rant there, Gables, but it happened. I apologize. But I'm due for one rant every couple weeks, and blame the two Trenta coffees I had this morning. My heart is blaming me right now for it. So, but Gables, it's moving on here to my favorite topic every single month. We got a good one this month, Gables. We got a pretty
Yes,
good
we
one, I
do.
think. A lot of new games came out. We're in that season now where games are coming out. It's a good time. But we have our NPDs for the month of September. Why is my computer being stupid? I apologize. But a couple of cool things came out of this here. I think is Nintendo Switch had the record for um, most months being the highest selling console per in dollars, not individual sales. Um, had 33 straight months of being the number one console sold. That streak is finally ended. In September, PS5 overtook them. Um, and I don't know. I talk about this, I've talked about this multiple times over the course of that really the last year, where I think Switch is doing well. I'm not like super duper well, obviously, and this isn't even me taking a shot or like discount what the Switch is doing. But I think that probably would have ended last November if
Yep.
Xbox, they would probably have been third every month for the last year if it wasn't for the the shortages we were just talking about. So I think all three would be selling gangbusters right now if all three could just be in out there for people to buy them. But where the fuck is going? Why? Oh, I don't know what's happening right now, Gables. I apologize. Why is my son of a bitch? Why is it like this? I'm sorry. Okay. Oh my god, there's a fucking ad popped up. God damn it. For some reason, my link is taking me to a different thing here.
You're just trying to pull up the whole NPD stuff.
Yeah, what the fuck? I apologize, people. Bear with me for a minute. So yeah, so we had the streaks over. I mean, Gables, what's your thoughts on the streak being broken?
honestly, honestly, as far as how much like successful Nintendo has been with the sales of their Switch and stuff like that, I mean, it had to happen eventually where one of the other consoles was going to go through and sell extremely well in terms of the month. And I honestly thought the PlayStation 5 would be selling more like months prior and sort of like and stuff like that in order to take over in regards to like a monthly sale thing for the Switch. But it just tells me that there are more PS5s going out there into the wild and stuff to where people are purchasing a lot more of these systems and stuff that made it the top selling system of that month, especially with the month of September.
Hmm.
So if honestly, I just felt like it was kind of overdue.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then again, having like over 2 years of straight dominance in terms of like console sales, I mean, hell.
Yeah. Almost three. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
incredible. It's an incredible streak. Yeah. I mean, and we talk about it every month. We talk about MPDs when we look. It's like 9 out of the 20 games or 10 of the 20 games are fucking Nintendo games. Usually multiple are in the top 10. And I think they're gonna start a new streak in October with the OLED coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if
right.
that's part of it too, where people aren't buying Switches in September because it's like, well, I'm gonna try to get the OLED. So
It could
uh,
potentially be it. Honestly, I don't know if this may be like a gut feeling or something, but this may be like a sign of potential like Switch fatigue, in that regards.
yeah, but I mean, we seen like the OLED numbers in like Japan and Europe. Like
Yeah,
we gotta like they're selling like crazy. I don't think it's a fatigue. I think it's just like the play. Like I said, I think Switch probably would have been in third place the last year, but still doing super duper well. Um,
yeah.
maybe not as well, but would be doing extremely well. If it wasn't for the shortages that they are right now. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be. I won't be surprised if we see like a lot of months where things are bouncing around where Xbox might be one number one, then PlayStation will be number one, Switch will be number one. I see them for maybe the first time in a long time where we're gonna see these companies kind of ping ponging around between first and second and third place. Um, but I did find the list. Sorry about that, guys. Um, so a lot of new games. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 brand new games on this list. So pretty
Wow.
cool. Yeah, it's an awesome time of year. So we're gonna see a lot of new stuff here. So, uh, number 20 here, we have Mortal Kombat 11, 19, Modern Warfare finally dropping down.
Wow.
Yeah,
At number
we got. I think
19.
yeah. So I think we got two. I wonder if we're gonna have. That'd be incredible. What Call of Duty comes out next month. I wonder if we're gonna have three Call of Duties in the top 20 next year or next month or in the November NPD.
Well,
Sorry.
it definitely is possible.
Yeah, I mean with it being dropping down from 12th to 19th, maybe it's kind of you know that one's falling out, and then Black Ops will be the other one that's like in the teens. So but anyways here 18 Animal Crossing New Horizons, 17 Smash Bros Ultimate, 16 Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 15 brand new game WarioWare Get It Together, which This is
Wow.
the second best start ever for a WarioWare game, behind only WarioWare Smooth the Moves, easy for me to say, which is actually so both were $50 titles.
Yep.
Um, but I think what's interesting is the Wii Smooth Moves came out the January after the Wii came out, so 2 months later. So I think that was like, I'm not too surprised that when I found out it was only second, I thought for sure Get Together would be number, like would be the, you see like all the other ones, like anytime a new franchise, like they're shattering the old records, like Pikmin and all those games. Um, I wonder, I think when 2 months of the Wii came out, people were just desperate for games to buy, so I could see why maybe that's the case. Um, Minecraft at 14, Sonic Colors Ultimate on 13, uh, Diablo Prime Evil Collection is 12. So for some reason, there's two Diablos in here. I'm not sure why.
I think one's a
Um,
special edition of like Diablo 2, and the other one's
yeah,
like something else, probably.
that's well. I think like the Diablo Prime Evil Collection has like three in it as well, but it's weird. Like usually they just combine
Yeah.
all those together. Like you're not like there's three different versions of Far Cry 6, but we're only gonna see they're only gonna count it as one.
Yeah,
So
that's awfully
it's
strange to have like two separate entries and stuff where it looks like it's basically the same game, not named Pokemon.
yeah, it's true. I get yeah. I mean, Pokemon I guess counts each one individually. So, um, 11 Mario Kart 8. Interesting enough here, Gables. No Nintendo games in the top 10. Probably the first time in a long time that's happened.
That's a hell of a long time we've not had a single Nintendo game in the top 10 of the NPDs.
Yeah. The number 10 here, brand new game, Life is Strange True Colors. Best first launch month ever for a Life is Strange game. Be fair though, Life is Strange 1 was a $20 title. Uh, Before the Storm was 15. Life is Strange 2 was 40, and this was 60. So, yeah, take that with a little tiny grain of salt, but I think it probably did its best month for sales too. Number 9, Miles Morales. Number 8, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 7, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Number 6, another brand new game, Deathloop. Number 5, another brand new game, Diablo 2. In there twice though, so whatever. Number 4, Tales of Arise.
Hmm.
Pretty shocking. Number 3, NBA 2K22. Number 2, FIFA 22. Number 1, in Madden NFL 22. So 3 sports titles. The top in there. Madden was number 1 last month for August, and once again for September. No real surprise. It's typically the case, but FIFA and NBA debuting at number 2 and 3 respectively this month. But I mean, Gibbs, what's your thoughts looking at this top 20?
Well, first and foremost, yeah, no Nintendo game making it into the top 10. That's fairly surprising.
Yeah,
But at the same point, you have like a lot of major games releasing at that same time period and stuff. I mean, with the Diablo 2 remaster from Deathloop and stuff, and especially let's see, WarioWare's Get It
get it together.
Together.
Yeah,
Then, of course, Tales of Arise. I mean, that's the biggest surprise of it all because this is like a JRPG that by Namco Bandai and stuff like that. It kind of surprised me at its placement because it being number 4. I mean, you don't see a lot of debuting JRPGs, not
mm,
like, say, unless it's like a main title game in an
like a
established
Final
series
Fantasy
already.
or
Like, say,
something.
like
Yeah,
a Final Fantasy or like a Pokemon or whatsoever. But the Tales of series has been around for a hell of a long time, too, actually, since like the Super Famicom era. But with this latest entry, I've heard a lot of great things about it. I
yeah.
have a friend that's absolutely wild, loves the story and the gameplay. It's supposed to be fairly replayable too for a JRPG standard and stuff. But I thought the most surprising thing at all is like the top 5 includes like 3 sports games, a JRPG, and like God, what is that number 5?
Diablo 2, a remake.
Diablo
A
2.
remake.
Yeah, we just basically got like sports games and RPGs in like the top 5 and stuff.
Yeah,
That's fairly funny in my honest opinion.
yeah,
But Tales of Arise is the biggest surprise in my honest opinion.
yeah. That's awesome because it's like definitely like Tales. I know like I loved it back in like the GameCube era. Like obviously Tales of Symphonia, like a lot of people. And even there was what's the one that was a 360 like early exclusive?
All right, so the
The
360 early
Void.
exclusive you're talking about is Tales of Vesperia.
Yeah, Sperry. Yeah, like I even enjoyed that one quite a bit. Um, with that was like one of Troy Baker's first games.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. Like I know I've heard like a lot of people talk about like a lot of people felt fallen off the Tales games over the last decade or so. Like a lot of just kind of churning them out there, kind of like basically just the fatigue of the franchise, and they kind of take a step back and totally like this is like a, almost kind of like it kind of like it sounds like to me it's kind of like that Pokemon X and Y kind of like thing where like that was like the one that brought a lot of people back and really kind of like was like a big breath of fresh air, a big boost to bring bring some
Yep.
excitement back in there. So it's awesome that, and it sounded like the reviews have been great for it, and it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome that it's selling really well, and it's awesome that being number 4 in a pretty packed month is awesome. Um, yeah, I mean, Deathloop number 6, that's cool. It's only on PC and the PlayStation consoles, so being number 6, I mean, I think that's probably gonna be a lot of people's game of the year. Probably gonna be it's almost for sure gonna be one of the finalists at the Video Game Awards for Game of the Year. So number 6, that's awesome. Um, Miles Morales still hanging in at number 9. That's awesome. I mean, that's basically like the Mario Kart 8 of the PlayStation 5, where even though it's on PS4, a lot of people just when they buy a PS5, they get like Miles Morales is like their go-to game. Um, really excited about Life is Strange. Obviously, it's one of my it's on my short list of game of the years this year. Being number 10, that's incredible. Being its best launch ever is awesome, especially with Deck Nine doing it. Even though I know they made Before the Storm, but they're not. It's not Don't Nod. So that makes me very happy. And once again, reviews are doing really well on that one. But yeah, it's interesting. Only 4 uh, Nintendo games in the list. Like I said, normally we have 8 or 9, but like I said, I think there's one, two, three. I think it was 8 or 9 new games. So something's gonna fall out to get those new ones in there.
Yep.
And like Switch wasn't number 1 this month, so probably I wouldn't. Like I said, I have a good feeling that a lot of those Nintendo games could jump back in there, possibly. I guess well maybe October's a pretty crazy month for games, so maybe not. But I don't know, because a lot of people are buying Switches this month. Whether it's a lot of people that already had a Switch are buying Switches again, or new Switch owners, I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. I was kind of shocked. The biggest shock to me, outside of Tales of Rise, is WarioWare being number 15. Like, I feel like that's good for WarioWare, but that's low for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, where we're seeing a lot of like Luigi's Mansion selling almost 10 million copies, Animal Crossing selling almost 40 million copies. Like, Pikmin 3 is sold over 3 million copies. Metroid Dread's probably gonna break the record for most copies of a Metroid game sold, which is shocking, like 2.8 million. Like that's a good chance of this year probably breaking that. So um, I don't know. I thought I was kind of shocked to see how low it was, but I mean I know the reviews were mostly positive. So I don't know. I mean maybe Gables on to something. With maybe we're at that point of like a little bit of fatigue on Switch stuff.
That's
Yeah,
what initially I was thinking about, not just in terms of like the sales in that regards, but it feels like to me that we're even though it's a year into the life cycle of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S, we're seeing signs now, the potential like beginning of like the strain of not fatigue of Switch related stuff, potentially like games. I mean, hell, this is the first month that I can remember that we didn't even have a single Switch game in the top 10 of an
yeah,
NPD sales thing. And that's due in large part because there were multiple games that are supposed to be fairly good that released in the month of September. I mean, the NBA 2K like 22 game is supposed to be a damn good iteration this year. I mean, Tales of Arise, that's definitely a game that people have been clamoring about. Death Note is, I mean, not Death Note, Death Loop has gotten like plenty of praise in that regards, even despite it being advertised to death leading
yeah,
up to its release.
yeah. Right.
But it's historically, Tyler, let's think of it this way. Even in the past generations, whenever we've had like Sony and Microsoft release like multiple different like great games in their platforms and stuff, there would be some Nintendo games and stuff, but they would pretty much be delegated and stuff where you'd have a lot of the mainstay like games, like especially if it's like a first party content and stuff, would be selling fairly well, on the NPD stuff.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like Mario Kart was 11th.
Yep.
And the top 10 has 6 brand new games, Madden and Call of Duty. So,
Yep.
and it got, the only thing it got beat out by was Ghost of Tsushima, which just had the expansion and the director cut at the end of August. And then, like I said, Miles Morales is the evergreen title for PS5. So those are
Now
the ones that
what
beat it up. So no shame in that, really. It wasn't like it was a bad month and they dropped. So
Now, what's going to be interesting to see is with this month's NPD stuff, if we're going to be seeing a surge of Super Smash Brothers Ultimate
Yeah,
sales
with the
go up
DLC.
as a
Yeah.
result of the last DLC character Sora being released.
Yeah. Possibly I can see that. I think it's gonna be tough. I mean, it's number seven. It dropped from 11 to 17th for this month. Smash Brothers did. So I mean, I
Right,
can see it jump back up there. It's gonna be interesting because we have a lot of these games like, uh, like I said, there's 9 new games here. Where will those games be next month? I
right.
imagine Madden, FIFA, and NBA are gonna be in the top 5 or top 10 at the very least next month. We have Far Cry, Alan Wake, Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, I'm sure I'm forgetting a few other ones as well. They're coming this month. The House of Ashes, but I don't think that's going to be.
Wouldn't it
Uh,
be something to see Metroid Dread like within the top five though?
I think if Metroid gets in the top 5, that would. I mean, you're a 10 million seller. I really like right there because you're going like I said you're going up against like I said. I think Madden, FIFA, and NBA will be in the top 5 for
Right,
sure. So that's only 2 more spots. I think Far Cry is going to be in the top 5. Um,
right.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
That's
I think
definitely be uncharted territory for the Metroid
I feel
franchise.
like if they're in like the top 7 or 8ish, that is a huge win for Metroid. But I think it's gonna be tough because like I said, you have a lot of big AAA games, a lot of big huge franchises that just came out or just coming out, and I mean, who knows? I mean, I yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it like just breaking that down in my mind. Like I think Tales, Diablo, Deathloop, those are all going to drop. I think they'll be in the top 20, but I don't think they're going to be in the top 10 next month. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm actually really excited about them. These are always my favorite times because like that this holiday season is always my like holiday and spring when spring like our early like next the first quarter of 2022 is gonna be nuts as well. So I think the next 6 months of NPDs are gonna be pretty fun because we're gonna see some interesting stuff here. But yeah, uh, that's why I always love NPDs because they're always pretty exciting. But Gables, we need to jump into. We have a decent amount of quick hitters, kind of like shorter stories here. We're not like things that are like interesting things to mention, but not a context to add to them really. But a couple delays we got here. So we had Elden Ring got delayed to February 25th. It was
Mm-hmm.
originally, God, it was like it's like the 26th of January. So basically 4 weeks got delayed. And Advance Wars 1 and 2, the reboot, was supposed to come out on December 3rd, is now being delayed to spring. So not even a date, just we have a quarter, which Nintendo is very lenient on when they say quarters because sometimes they'll say spring and release it in June. Sometimes they'll say summer and release it in fucking September. So who knows like what spring means to them? Does it mean March? Does it mean June? So there's a big gap in there somewhere what they mean by that.
Yes, but we do know like for both Elden Ring and for like the Advance Wars reboot 1+2, I mean both games are benefiting from delays in this
Oh yeah,
regards.
yeah. I mean no, I'm definitely not a complaint. I mean like am I bummed about it? Yeah, because I was super pumped, but it's like obviously I mean plus it's like I said, I have a big backlog of games right now. Luckily, after um, really this month, like I don't have a lot coming. Like Forza is like the one game I'm looking forward to, and then the rest of the year is pretty empty. So I'm gonna have, so it's gonna make it easier for me to like balance shit out. And this is one less game I have to worry about. So unless it comes out in the first quarter, like March of next year, where everything's fucking coming out apparently, because everything has to come out in February and fucking March for some reason. It's either holidays or February, March. That's it. That's the game he wants. Fucking no, my luck. They're gonna put Batman and fucking Suicide Squad in there too. Um, I don't know. I mean, the Elden Ring doesn't do much for me. I feel bad for Horizon because it's gotten, they can't escape it. You know, they came out the week before Breath of the Wild and Switch, and then this time they're coming out the week before fucking Elden Ring. So they're just
I know, right?
they just need to figure it out. Like they just need to like fucking silently launch it. It's like we're not gonna tell you when it's coming. We're gonna let you know, but like we're not telling you when it's coming. We'll just put it out. One day you're just gonna wake up and it's out. That's what they're like. All right,
And
guys, there's
people
nothing
would
coming out.
lose their minds.
Yeah, it's like we just need to like. All right, guys. All right, nothing's coming out for like 3 weeks. Let's just drop it now. Drop it now. Now, hit the button. Like that's what they need to do. So yeah, I don't know. God damn it, fucking poor goddamn Like, I don't care about Elden Ring, but I just feel bad for them. I mean, anything you want to add on those ones?
No, not really.
Okay. Xbox is doing a 20th anniversary broadcast on November 15th. It's the 20th anniversary, obviously, of the Xbox console. They said it's just gonna be a little mini thing they're doing here. They're gonna have some updates on a few games. Like I think they're gonna have Sobo is gonna be there with some Microsoft Flight Simulator stuff, and kind of pushing some the new updates that got coming out. They said they're not gonna announce any new projects or anything like that. It's more so just like I think it's gonna be more so like the they did like the oh fuck what was that called? What was the one they just we had the opening night live for back
Hmm.
in August. The
Oh
Xbox
boy.
event. What's that? God damn, what's the Gamescom? They had the Xbox had a Gamescom event back in August. They had like the E3 Xbox extended event the couple days after E3. I think it's just gonna be more of that. They did say that like yeah, don't expect too much. Um, I don't think they yeah. I'm just double checking here. Yeah, like I mean it's the week after Forza. Um, it's a few weeks before um, Halo. So I don't know. I mean, Gables, what kind of was your anticipation with all this?
Well, the anticipation of this event, I feel is kind of fairly low, but that's only because I'm not really expecting a lot of big things to come out of it. I may expect potential release windows for some games to be unveiled, but at the same point, it's going to be pretty much the same stuff we've been shown before in previous events. That's what my initial take is from
Yeah,
this anniversary announcement.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm about the same. I think the big, like the probably the most hype thing that could happen is like maybe we finally see the Halo campaign because we haven't really seen it. We saw like a year and a half ago, and
Yep.
that's when everybody lost their shit and they delayed it. So maybe we see it there. I could see like maybe some like the FPS boost announcements and maybe some Game Pass announcements. Um, but I don't see like anything we're gonna like fucking lose our goddamn minds over. But I mean, hopefully it'd be cool. I won't complain. I'm just, it's cool they're doing it. I think it's awesome. Like, I think it's gonna be a fun little look back at Xbox, and I think that in itself will be exciting. Um, and that controller looks PQ, the 20th anniversary one. But moving on here, so God of War 2018 is officially coming to PC. I think we all kind of knew this was happening. It's coming January 14th. And they kind of interesting they announced. I think the most interesting part to me, anyways, they announced about this is that they announced that they've sold over 19.5 million copies of that game.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't. I figured it was in the tens, maybe low teens, but the fact they're pushing 20 million, that's like Spider-Man territory right
Yeah, it
there.
is.
That's a pretty good year
Absolutely.
for. I mean, I know that's I mean, they ain't Nintendo numbers, but that's for I'm sure like that's great for any game. Obviously, I don't think there's too many games out there selling that number. So, like I said, like Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man 2018 is the best-selling PlayStation exclusive ever. So, I mean, I think in the combined sales of Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2018 are over 25 million. So, gonna be in that territory of just being, that's incredible. So this will definitely put it over the 20 million mark, and I think it's awesome. Like there's a lot, obviously there's the fanboys out there losing their goddamn mind over all of these like Uncharted and all these games coming to PC, but just more people playing the things you love, which
Yep.
that's awesome. It's my favorite game of all time. Makes me almost wish I had a $25,000 PC so I can play it in its all its glory. Um, I don't know. Are you gonna buy this on your PC?
Um, to be perfectly honest with you, I know you're joking with me on this
Yeah,
shit
I
though,
know.
but at the same time, and it's like I'm gonna finish it on PS4 eventually. I mean, come on.
Don't,
I mean, I
don't,
got the
don't tease me.
goddamn game in my system. That's a good step forward to me.
Yeah, yeah. He's installed it. We're getting there. Uh yeah. Moving on though. So GTA Collection, we talked about this. They officially announced a couple weeks ago. It's worst kept secret in gaming because they keep fucking leaking it. It is officially coming out. We got a date November 11th. Oddly enough, though, you can buy it physically on November 7th. So I think one's the anniversary of one. The 7th is the anniversary for one. And the 11th is the anniversary for another. Probably though they
Wow.
just want you to fucking double dip and buy it twice. Is what they're doing. Um, I think the official what they said is there's coming also to iOS and Android, and also there will be a PS5 and a next gen version, but I believe those are getting delayed to early next year. So you'll have that. But if you buy like the PS4 and Xbox one version, you get the free upgrade to the next one. It will be $60, but it includes 3 Vice City and San Andreas. They did a lot more to it, where like they've totally fixed the shooting. They've fixed it so like the biggest complaint of a lot of these like sandbox games in this generation, where you had to if you failed the mission or died, you had to like wherever you were at the beginning, like the lat when you died, like you have to restart the whole checkpoint. So you might have to drive 20 minutes to get to the next to get to like the location of like where the uh, quest was, and then to redo it over again. There was no like retry thing at all. You just so they fixed all that, so you're not like you're just if you fail the mission or whatever, you can just retry, reboot you, put you right back in the same spot. It's gonna be 60 frames per second on the PS4, Xbox, PC, blah blah. No, they didn't say though on Switch, so no word if it's gonna be 30 or 60. It's totally. I mean, it definitely doesn't. It doesn't look like a 2021 powerhouse, but I would say when we found the gameplay we did see though, it looks markedly better. Way more than I thought this thing would look when I heard they first announced it. I thought maybe they just like make
Yes.
it look shinier, but it looks a lot better. Than the fact that they've really done a lot of like quality of life stuff to it is pretty incredible. What's your thoughts on this, Gables?
I thought it was interesting the amount of detail and a lot of depth that they have actually gone into to change a lot of the core mechanics that, let's be perfectly honest, though, was pretty damn awful back in the day. And that is in terms of the aiming and shooting in regards to the GTA games. The thing about the GTA games and stuff, they had open world stuff that was fairly fine and stuff. The story elements and stuff were pretty good comparing like according to the various games and stuff. I didn't really go in depth with a lot of the story missions in regards to the original trilogy of like GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. I know all three are critical like games and stuff, but what really got me out of the experience was like the big old gripes in terms of driving the cars and stuff, which were fairly garbage back then. Aiming and shooting and stuff was kind of wonky, especially inside of a third person sort of action s type of way and stuff. But a lot of that stuff's been addressed in these remasters. And considering they're touting now 4K 60 frames per second, and the games literally look like cell shaded, like almost like cell shaded esque type of remaster reskins and stuff like that, with a lot of added benefits and redone graphical stuff, they look fairly appealing. And what's most interesting about it is they're coming next month. I mean, this is like
Yeah,
only like a couple of weeks away, which that's a big win for Rockstar right
yeah.
there, because it's like you got not only for the main consoles and stuff, and we've heard maybe a possibility of the games this trilogy come to Switch, but at the same time, there hasn't been really a concrete fact that's confirmed it
No,
as
they
of this
said it. They just
recording.
don't have it. They didn't. They just haven't given us details on how it's gonna run.
Okay, so the details of how it's going to run. So this is probably
Yeah.
going to be one of those things. There's going to be a staggered release, like other games, third-party games that have come onto the Switch. But even so, it's like the portable trilogy on your Switch on the go. That just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I've seen some complaints about $60, but I'm like, I feel like it's three. These are three, you know, pretty popular, really good games, and they've done a lot of work to make them look better, run better, and a lot of quality life. I feel like you're looking at $20 a piece. I think that's a pretty good deal. And
Yeah,
if you don't want to buy this thing, San Andreas part of it is coming to Game Pass on day one,
yeah,
and Vice City is coming to PS Now in December. So there's a cheaper way of like if you have Game Pass, you can play a San Andreas day one. If you want to, if you have PS Now or if you just want to play Vice City, wait a month. You can play it on PS Now. So that's
yeah.
pretty incredible too. I think that's pretty weird but pretty cool. Where they're
That is weird. Yeah, it's like Vice
yeah
City's on one and then San Andreas is on the other.
yeah. Well, just the fact that they're putting them on these things, but only putting one of them is I think it's cool, but it's definitely weird. Um, yeah, it'd be like if it feels like almost like a Kingdom Hearts thing, where it's like we're gonna give you 1.5, but we're not even gonna give you two. We're just gonna give you one from 1.5. Like, or we're gonna give you five. We're gonna give you Kingdom Hearts 2.8, but we're only gonna give you like one of the games, kind of shit. I
Oof.
don't know. It's just very weird. Um, yeah, I don't know. Cool though. Uh, Next up here we have a state of play from PlayStation coming October 27th. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be about 20 minutes long. and they're gonna be focusing on third party stuff. So I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
I am not kind of like the Xbox thing. I am not expecting my script to be blown up at all, or like any big, huge, hype, awesome, like break the internet moments. Um, I think it'll be just like a lot of updates on older games. I'm sure like we're gonna maybe see some more trailers. Like, I cannot for the life of me remember the goddamn name of this game, the Hyperlight Drifter game. And it just got delayed from the
Solar
26th to
Ash.
Solar Ash. Wow, I totally spaced it. Thank you. I like Stray, the cat game, Solar Ash. Um, there's God
Well,
damn it, I'm blanking.
if we're thinking about third party stuff, I mean, there could be a potential thing showing from like Square Enix, for updates.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the Final Fantasy 16. That's a good point. Like that got revealed last year, and they
Hmm.
did a big fucking blowout of gameplay. Like there's a whole long trailer,
Yes,
and
they
it's supposed to come
did.
out in 2021. And they've never officially delayed it. Obviously, unless they're shadow dropping it,
Which
which
that would be entirely weird because that's Final
yeah, they would
Fantasy,
never
and
do that.
you don't shadow drop a Final
Yeah,
Fantasy game because that's not going to be a good game otherwise.
yeah. I don't.
Not good science anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird one. I don't. I'm not expecting much because place like I've always talked about, like when PlayStation, a lot of video companies when they have these things, they do a really good job of keeping expectations in check. Um, everybody does it except for Nintendo. Um, so I don't like I said, I'm not expecting like these holy shit moments. Like, but it's possible. I mean, we've had
Yes.
like these third party focused ones before. We got Resident Evil 3 out of it, revealed out of it. So I could see some stuff happening potentially, but I'm not expecting. It's plus it's October. This is like outside of Game Awards, this is the time of year when this shit's winding down, and
Yep.
we're just focusing on getting games out instead of announcing new ones. So I just think we're gonna have a lot of updates on stuff, maybe some dates. But yeah, I'm not gonna, you know, pull my truck over on the side of the road to watch this thing live. This will be like I'll avoid the internet, watch when I get home, kind of thing. What about
Yep.
you, Gables?
It's going to be the same reaction like for me as well, unless something very vital happens inside of the state of play. I mean, I don't have a lot of expectations for it. Honestly, it's the same thing with like the Microsoft one for their anniversary event, where this thing's like a showcase of third-party games. There are a couple things that could be addressed, but at the same time, it's like it's going to be one of those type of state of plays. Is I'll try to catch what I can. What time is this thing initially starting now, or
Um,
do we
I think
know?
it's 2 o'clock your time,
Okay, so
so
2 o'clock
4 o'clock
my
Central.
time. So I probably am not going to be able to even watch remotely any of this until I get home.
Yeah. So
So
I'm
yeah,
happy though. It's late enough in the day where like I can at least like not completely avoid like YouTube and all that shit. Like I always hate
right.
the ones where it's like 7 in the morning my time or 9 in the morning. It's like God damn it. It's like I can't even like go on like YouTube and like watch a video on my lunch because I'm gonna fucking get spoiled. So yeah.
I
I
hate
don't,
those
yeah.
moments.
Yeah. It's like the later in the day the better. Um, But last up here on our kind of quick hitters here. Um, so Stardew Valley creator, his next game was officially announced. It's called The Haunted Chocolatier.
Yep.
Uh, it's basically this one is you are running a giant chocolate factory. Like it's
Yeah,
Stardew Valley, but like you're running a chocolate factory instead.
kind of like a Willy Wonka.
Which yeah, I mean that's incredible. I don't think he gave us any dates. It's literally just like
No,
we got a trailer with some little bit of gameplay in it. But yeah, I don't know. Gabe was like, what was your thoughts when you saw this?
to be perfectly honest with you, I was surprised it was a stealth drop by the dude because for one, it's like he had been teasing that he had been working on a game and stuff for a while now, but initially seeing the overall impression of the chocolatier and stuff, it's pretty essentially nearly like the same in terms of graphical fidelity as like Stardew Valley, but at the same time, it's more focused in regards to running your own chocolate factory, doing this, doing that. Multiple platforms were announced and stuff, but this is definitely within like the starting stages of this game. So we're probably not going to see hardly anything else from this game until maybe late 2022 or 2023.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely cool. I like the yeah, oh, man. That was like man. Let me tell you, it was 8-year-old Tyler uh, running a chocolate factory was like my dream. You have no idea how I'm like, man. When I grow up, I just want to be Willy Wonka. Uh, I would definitely be that fat kid that falls into the chocolate river every day. And I get stuck up the fucking tube. That'd be me all the goddamn time. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's not my bag, but people love them, and yeah, it's exciting. It's kind of like I just spaced the fucking the one that's like the Earthbound type game
Oh,
that everybody loves.
Eastward.
Not Eastward. No, 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 no. It just got the two
Oh, it's
free update.
Undertale.
Undertale, yeah.
That's
It's
right.
like these two games I've like in my mind are like kind of twined where it's like a single guy making these games, and I mean they have a huge fan base, so it's cool like they're still out there and there's still excitement for the next. It wasn't like these aren't like they're not one hit wonder kind of people. Like people are excited for the next one. Yeah, that is it for the news. Like I said, a lot of stuff happened. But yeah, a lot of cool things happened, except for the goddamn Advance Wars. Breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. Outside of Guardians, that was like my most anticipated game for the rest of the year. But moving on to what we've been playing, I'm just gonna go real fast. Gables.
Yeah.
I played like an hour, 45 minutes or so of Far Cry 6. I
Okay.
don't want to jump into it too much because like my plan is to just kind of get out of the tutorial section to get into like the meat potatoes of the game because like this is like my big game I'm saving for Extra Life. So I just kind of want to get the story and all the like the tutorial stuff out of the way so like I can like everything's open for me. I can just jump in and play the game. But so far, it's I'm really liking the main villain. Like in the little bit of like the little bit of interactions I've had with them. Um, the world, the island you're on looks beautiful, looks stunning, looks really good. I have not got my alligator or my little cutie pie dog yet. But yeah, I mean it's more Far Cry, which for better or worse, that's what it is. And I'm excited to play more of it, but that's all I've been playing. What about you,
Well,
Gables?
good, good. I've been playing two games this week. One is continuation from last week where I was playing a bunch of Castlevania and like Advanced Collection. Since then, I had completed the second run through on Magician mode for Castlevania Circle of the Moon, but last week, no, not last week, but like last Sunday, I started Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance. I'm nearly done with this game, right? I'm nearly done. I'm towards the tail end. I got like maybe a couple more bosses to face, but for Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, this is like the first game that was taken over by Koji Igarashi, who was the main like kind of producer director of like Symphony of the Night. This guy, like, you could totally feel like the amount of influence that went into this game in terms of like the quality, in terms of the graphical fidelity, and also in terms of like the and also in terms of like the gameplay stuff has evolved to as differentiated and stuff from like Circle of the Moon. Because one of the main critiques back in the day for Circle of the Moon was it's like it was too dark. Quintessentially was too dark. Think of it at this time. This was like an early Game Boy Advance game, and the Game Boy Advance did not have a backlight when it first launched. It wasn't until the SP came out a couple of years later that people could actually play Circle of the Moon like with a fully backlit light and stuff instead of like going underneath a lamp. I say that because I
Mm-hmm.
did that a lot as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 13-year-old Gables trying to play Circle of the Moon on his Game Boy Advance and not able to see a lot of the things on the screen because of how dark the damn sprites were. But
Made it very difficult to pretend like you're sleeping when you're like when you're your parents think you're sleeping because you got school in the morning, but really you just
yes,
want to play video games. But then you're like trying to hold like the flashlight to play the game, but you don't want to see the light through the door. Ah man, that the SP, oh man, game changer. Go ahead though. I'm
absolutely.
sorry.
But as regards to Harmony Dissonance, this was the game that released a year later after Circle of the Moon. The graphical stuff, it's bright, it's vivid, it's colorful. The amount of detail in sort of certain sceneries, like certain environmental pieces inside Dracula's castle while you're terrain it, it's interesting because the game itself, from today's standards, is not going to look as great as say like any type of modern like sprite based game, but at the same time I think graphically it looks better than say Circle of the Moon. Gameplay wise, music wise, I would not say it's as strong as Circle of the Moon. But yeah, especially the music. Holy shit. There's like maybe a handful of tracks inside of this game inside of Harmony Dissonance I do like. The initial starting section and like there's this one sort of like lower terrain where this like water like this whole water section is and stuff where the music from that is very like heart pumping, very pretty cool in regards to the whole thing it's presented. It's like an area where a bunch of these like mermen and stuff where you face off against this one boss with like a giant merman and stuff like that. But other than like sections like that, there are plenty of tracks that are either forgettable or in the case of like this cavern section, it's just completely repetitive and you just want to stop listening to the moment you like enter into the section. It's like, why the hell was it? I know the Game Boy Advance did have a limited set of like sound
Neighborhoods.
pool in that regards,
Mhm.
but at the same point, there were better soundtracks for Game Boy Advance games at that time that were introduced, you know. But gameplay wise, this game it's all right. I feel like the game in and of itself, the gameplay is all right and stuff. You get to control the grandson of Simon Belmont, which is Juiced Belmont. So quintessentially, you have a traditional whip. You actually have access to using
Is he
certain.
like a very muscular version of Belmont?
No, actually, he's not. He's not like a very muscular version of like a Belmont.
Oh,
No, he's more or less. He's more or less sort of like a like almost like a magic user. Besides
oh.
like using the vampire killer whip and stuff like that, he uses like spell books. So he's more kind of feminine kind of looking, but at the same time, you know, it's kind of like in sort of like Japanese like animation and sort of like story where sometimes the men may look a little bit more feminized than what that you know in terms of like certain male characters as regards to say like in the some character designs in the US and stuff where if you're going with a man stuff normally like back then and stuff it would have been more machoized or like more like presented of such a way but for Juiced Belmont, it's like you use spell books, and they're all different types of elements. Like you'll have a book that'll conjure fire spells, or wind, or ice, or electricity, based upon, and these are dictated towards like what type of sub weapon you got. So, for say, if you have the dagger sub weapon and you team with fire and stuff, it does one attack. But if you equipped it the same dagger and stuff with like say a the wind book or like the electricity book. It's like there's different types of attacks based upon that. So instead of having like a card based sort of system like you had with Circle of the Moon, it's more or less interchanged with the spell book sort of stuff. And honestly, I've been going through the entirety of the game so far with just the wind book and the holy water because when you do the special attack in terms of that, it's like a hydro storm sort of like rain that falls in the sky and just takes out a lot of enemies in regards to the whole terrain of the panel that you're on. One thing I've initially have discovered while playing through this game is when you do certain attacks like that, it's supposed to cover the entire screen, but it only covers like a certain distance. So there will be enemies sometimes that'll pop out of screen and stuff, not suffer any damage whatsoever, and they'll come back in. You're like, I just executed this special attack. You're supposed to be dead right now. But no, the boss battles are fairly interesting. There's a lot of them. Honestly, there's a lot of fluff interchange, like just inserted into this game, where it kind of feels like to me that that there should have been some bosses that should have been cut out, in my personal opinion. But the initial boss battles that I've had so far have been interesting. The first one you come across is like a giant bat, right? To where it's sort of like a traditional sort of Castlevania boss battle things where you'll have a cluster of bat, like a bat boss of some form. So this one is like more or less reminiscent of a one traditional like Castlevania one boss that was called like Bat Company or like the Giant Bat or whatsoever the hell. It's basic.
Bad company.
It's basically a
Sorry.
cluster of. It's basically a horde of bats that come together to create one big old vampire bat. And so it's like you have bosses like that. You have certain like gigantic like armored like undead warriors and stuff for bosses. There's like a devil boss or something like that that just flies around the stage and stuff and shoots these various laser beams and stuff like that to try to like take out a certain section. Some of these bosses are fairly straightforward. some of them are kind of like obscure and stuff. Like he'll have a golem boss and stuff where you have to chip away at the clay like armor that he has to get to the core. And then there was this one boss. It's just there's these this one boss that appears twice, right? It's called Legion. Obviously, Legion in terms of Castlevania games, it's like a mass of like just massive like bodies or something like that that interwovens itself inside of like this gigantic ball that floats around, screams whenever you hit it and stuff like that. I mean, the first boss battle is unnerving enough because inside of the first Legion boss battle, it's called like Legion Saint, which you have like a whole bunch of these bodies and stuff. You hit the big old like ball and stuff like that. These bodies are falling off. They'll do this and that. They'll try to crawl towards you to try to take you out and stuff. But the whole aspect of it is you're trying to chip away at this core of it because there's supposed to be like a rotating kind of like mass or something that shoots lasers and stuff out to try to take you out and this and that. But when you go forth later in the game, you get to face the undead version of Legion, which is called like the Legion Corpse, which is a gigantic like ball of like skeletons and stuff like that. But instead of having like a big old laser beam type of thing at the core, like the previous thing, there's just like one core center, and it's just like a skeleton just like hanging out like this or something like that. It just opens up, kind of like a clamshell and stuff like that. And that mixed in with the environment to where you have like a portal or something that's open in the background and have all these like these little like corpses or something like that with blood dripping and this and that. It's like it's fairly detailed in regards to the amount of attention to detail that the artistry, like the graphics crew, did in regards to the sprite work of this. It looks fairly fantastic in terms of the amount of storytelling that's going on behind the scenes, like just interjecting itself towards like what's happening on the screen itself. So yeah, that was one of those boss battles that I've had in a long time where it was fairly unnerving. It was like kind of uncomfortable trying to fight this thing because it's like it's doing what it's supposed to do, right? Though, but just kind of unsightly. But I think it was pretty much the intended purpose of like you kind of feeling unnerved when you go into this boss battle because you don't know whether or not you're going to go forth and defeat this thing or do this or do that. But it was a recurring theme for Harmony of Dissonance so far in my playthrough where I would notice little details of this. I mean, get this. It's like there's one section inside of the castle where you come across this statue, right? This half statue of a woman, and she's like have this like kind of like almost a sleeping sort of expression, right? But you see like a little like a thing of liquid come from her eye, right? And you think, oh, okay, she's crying something, right? But it's like a red droplet. It looks like a thing of blood that's coming down her eye, but at the same time, that droplet drops onto the ground and it forms a blood skeleton.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And here's the thing. It doesn't do one. No, you can actually get swarmed by about five or six of those damn things. They keep on coming at you because they keep like respawn a certain amount of like sprites at a time. I absolutely love the attention to detail about that. I mean, that outshines what the musical work went into that stuff. But yeah, the boss battle's been fairly memorable. The attacks and stuff are fairly fine and stuff. But the amount of fluff I was telling you about has to do with the different type of castles and stuff in this game. Because get this, you not only have to explore like the castle like A and B. There's basically two castles, right? One's a transient one, one's the real one, and stuff like that. But the map system in this game, where it's like you have map for like one castle and then the other, and then all of a sudden a third one is like A plus B, so that way you can figure out, oh, okay, which sections have I traveled through both times, from both castles combined. And so the whole goal is to try to get 200%, right? 100% Castle A, 100% Castle B. That'd be fairly fine if not some of the sections would be a little bit more interesting to try to explore. There's certain enemies that repeat themselves, different color variations, different shaders and stuff, but I think I've spent close to about 8 or 9 hours playing this game over the past week. I have enjoyed my experience, but I do recognize that it's not as like I don't think it's as like memorable as say like Circle of the Moon in regards to its impact that I played originally. And I'm trying to get through Harmony of Dissonance so that way I can complete the whole thing I want to do. I may do a second playthrough in regards to play as Maxim, but I want to get to Aria of Sorrow because that was the my favorite one of that Game Boy Advance trilogy. It was the favorite game I had for the Game Boy Advance growing up. But the other game that I
Gables, one second. I just gotta ask a question.
yes,
If you're talking about this bat boss battle, it got me thinking.
yeah.
What if I trained a bunch of bats to play instruments and sing, and I created a Bad Company cover band called Bat Company? Would you go see that concert?
Well, it'd be fairly entertaining, I would say that, especially with
I
the
that's
one
a,
bat trying to play a cello.
I would be all I would yeah, oh my god, that'd be fantastic. I can see his like little wings, like holding it with one wing and like boom, 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 boom. I'm all in. I want to. I'm gonna go. There's I see bats all the time flying around my apartment complex. I'm gonna go catch them and start training them tomorrow. I'll let you know how it goes.
Oh my gosh, that mental image is actually getting me pretty tickled right now.
Let's see. Yeah, yeah. I got some good ideas once in a while. They only come at 1 in the morning, apparently.
Okay, so get this. The second game is a game from a series I've never played before. So I went on the PSN. They were having a specific sale of a bunch of different games, and I decided to purchase a collection of sorts. And I downloaded the first game, and I played through, and I actually delved pretty deep with it. Yakuza 0.
Oh shit. Okay.
So I've had a fair interest in regards to trying out a Yakuza game. So I want to see, okay, what's the good entry point? I looked at the sale. There was one going on for the Yakuza Origins collection, which included Yakuza 0, the first game, like Yakuza Kiwami, and then Kiwami 2. Downloaded it. I started playing Yakuza 0 at midnight a couple of nights ago, right? Like about Wednesday or Thursday. I'm like, you know what? Before I even powered on the booted up the game, I thought to myself, I'm probably gonna go down a damn rabbit hole with this. And sure enough, as soon as I power on the game and I take control of like the main character, like Kiryu and stuff like that, immediately it sucks me in with the story with it because it's a crime. It's like a freaking crime drama, right? But it's structured like a JRPG, but it's a beat 'em up game.
Hmm.
And so you're going through various aspects, completing different side quests and like doing sorts of various activities. What's hilarious is like it you play as Kiryu, you're part of the Dojima family and stuff alongside of like one of your other like friends that you met over at the orphanage and stuff. And the main guy you're trying to clear the name of, Kazama or some of the sort, I think yeah, his name's Kazama. And you have to try to clear his name with the Dojima family. So in order to do that, you have to try to you have to try to figure out who was the killer behind this particular person that you met inside the alleyway, right? So essentially you were doing a mission, right, where you had to rough up some dude and stuff in order to get like collecting money for this broker. And so what happened was you finish a job, right? You leave him laying, you didn't kill him or anything, and then you go back to the broke you were met with the broker and stuff, you were given your cut of the pay, and all of a sudden you go back, you are pretty much chilling with your friend and stuff like that, and then you see the news bulletin, and is that same guy that you were shaking down end up getting killed by a gunshot. But here's the thing: you didn't have any guns, you didn't do that, you just roughed them up with your fists. And so this whole aspect of the story is you trying to clear like your mentor's name as well as your own name based around who killed that dude and stuff like that. And so all of this story stuff interwoven in on top of everything else that's going on with Yakuza Zero. This is definitely one of those games where, yeah, I went down a rabbit hole. Because, for one, the initial gameplay is pretty fun. It's pretty simple, straightforward. There are different types of skill trees based upon for certain fighting stances that you got. Which there's like a brawler, and then there's like a more quick one, like a almost like an all around sort of thing. how you invest inside of upgrading your skill tree in this thing is based upon the money you earn by like random battles or from doing this or doing that side activities. So I've already like gotten quite a bit like filled out so far with the brawler set. But let me tell you something, Tyler. It's like the side activities of this game, they are surprisingly fun,
Yeah.
right? There, I spent my time later, like earlier on this week, when I had like a few hours to kill, doing some side quests like in Yakuza Zero. There was one in regards to like this boyfriend that's concerned that his girlfriend was like selling herself or something for money. And what ended up turning it into was like Hiryu going through discovering that there is this like these high school girls are trying to like sell off their underwear or something like that in order to get like in order to try to get like some form of like money and this and that and stuff like that. So you have to go forth and try to deter all this stuff from happening and stuff like that. And these sub these like side missions can be fairly memorable in terms of like not only the scope and scale, but what you go through and decide for your like dialogue options and stuff. So you have that, but then you can go to other types of like businesses and like buy certain foods and stuff. You can go to this karaoke bar, right? Like I go to the karaoke bar the first time, I go through ordering an omelet, and I notice, oh, there's a jukebox right there. I can select my track. Let's see, and I can start singing, right? And so I pick a couple of different tracks, and they're basically you match the icon that's on the screen, so similar to that of like a Parappa the Rapper or like some of the Persona games that I play. And what's hilarious about it is like you can actually sing. It's like it's so out of context, but as you're going through like the initial starting up a song, there's like graphics flashing in the background of you like just exaggerate like decked out in like this attire and shit and stuff, and you're like for the first song and stuff, you're dressed up like this bandana and everything else and shit. But the song selection is hilarious, so you can actually go through and have different react like different types of like support things for other people that are singing, like lively interactions or like more scripted interactions and stuff like that, more basic. But I'll tell you where the meat and potatoes went through this week, Tyler, and it went towards me going into a Sega arcade
Oh,
shop and going over to a claw machine. So in this game, you can go into an arcade shop. You can try out some of the games. It actually has a full playable arcade version of Space Harrier inside this arcade, which I tried out. There was this claw machine, right? I'm thinking, okay, well let's spend a couple of bits of money right here and go with the claw machine. About an hour later, I had freaking emptied the entire thing of like the prizes of the claw machine because it definitely reacted like an actual claw machine, bullshit and all. And I'm like,
mm,
no, you are not taking advantage of me this way. I'm getting all this shit. And I filled all my inventory slots. And I had to get rid of some stuff
mm.
instead of item
Nice.
boxes. But Yakuza Zero so far has left a good positive impression. I really want to get back more into it because this crime drama type of setup alongside the silly bullshit you can get yourself into, the side activities, the main missions, the side missions, the combat. It has that sort of blend which I'm not used to, where it feels like a open world that I want to routinely explore and get things going and seeing how deep this game goes. Like I've heard these type of games, like these Yakuza games, kid, you could easily spend like over 100 hours playing because of all the side activities and all the other shit that comes up. But yeah, it was definitely a pleasant surprise trying this out.
Nice.
But other
Very
than
cool.
that, that's what I've been playing.
Very cool, man. There's the Like a Dragon one's on Game Pass. I've been
Yes.
wanting to play that one for a while, so I
Oh
heard that's a good
yeah,
jumping on point too.
it's
So
fairly good from what I've been
yeah,
hearing as well.
yeah, I heard it's really good. So that is on my to do list as well. But guys, I think it's gonna wrap it up for this week. So thank you so much for listening. If you like this show, check us out. We're available on everywhere where podcasts are available. Just look up Drunk Nerds Podcast. Twitter, Facebook, we're on there as well. Look up the same thing. If you go to these places, please like, thumbs up, 5 stars, reviews, comments, shares. Shares are the big ones. Do those all those places. In the show notes, if you look, you'll see a link to it's called Linktree. It's a website that we use that puts links to all of the places we're available at in one place for you. So go there, just click on your favorite platform, and you can follow us on there, review us, please. All those things would be awesome. Extra-life.org if you want to participate or know more about Extra Life, do that please as well. But once again, thank you guys so much for listening. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, play some games you actually enjoy. Make sure you have some fun with your life. And most importantly of all, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Nerds Podcast.
And hey, Gables.
Yep.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.